I started to look at this, and you realize that, as one scientist said, the only thing you can safely say about the moon is its observational error. It shouldn't be there. As someone, another scientist said, that with the Earth's magnetic field and the size of the Earth may well not have a satellite. And if it did have a satellite, it would be very, very small. One postulated maybe 30 miles around. This one's 2,160 miles around. In fact, it's bigger than Pluto. And some scientists don't see the Earth-Moon association so much as a dual planet association. Mm-hmm. It's massive. It shouldn't be there. And then you start to look at it, and of course 2 Russian scientists from the Soviet Academy of Sciences in the 70s wrote a very detailed article for a magazine, called Sputnik magazine, saying that the moon was actually a gigantic spacecraft, hollowed out spacecraft. I feel, it could be constructed from scratch, if you like, or it could be a hollowed out planetoid, because this is a really important area of perception. If you want to put people in a box in terms of their sense of possibility, then suppress the information that can give them a sense of possibility outside of the limits you want them to have. And if you do that, then when something comes along, or someone like me comes along and says this is happening well outside the box, people in the box who've taken on this limitation of possibility go, that's impossible, that's ridiculous. No, it's impossible for humans to do it. It ain't impossible to do. And so we need to open our minds to the fact that, funny enough, sits back in amazement, humanity at this time is not at the cutting edge of possibility. I mean, please.
You think?
Have you seen George Bush? Anyway, this has been done by an incredibly advanced, technologically, not necessarily spiritually, probably not, race of whatever. And I've started to see the modus operandi. And in many ways, it's very much symbolized by the Death Star in the Star Wars movies. Star Wars movies, of course, produced by George Lucas, massive insider. Because of the effect these moons of that size have on a planet like the Earth. When you move the moon close to the Earth, it starts to affect its speed of spin, and it starts to make it go at an angle, which is what the Earth does. We have seasons because of that angle, which makes the Earth, in its relationship with the Sun, have this period of years with different seasons. So then you look at the ancient accounts all over the world, and they talk about fantastic cataclysmic events which ended a golden age, which ended a whole civilization. Some people talk about Atlantis and Lemuria and all that stuff. And there are many clear, constant checklist items on that cataclysm description. Whether it's the Great Flood in the Bible, whether it's wherever you go in the world, you find the same thing. 1, massive earthquakes, great volcanic eruptions, a tidal wave, massive tidal wave, and the Earth turned over. If you move the moon in, say it's coming into where it is for the first time, it totally changes the Earth. It moves it on an angle, the Earth turned over. The pressure of all that stuff would create tremendous geological impacts. And what would happen if you've got a planet which is overwhelmingly made up of vast oceans of water, and the planet did that?
Right.
You would have the most extraordinary tidal wave just by the momentum of the water. And then you look at so many different tribal legends around the world. I mean, I've come across them directly through Credu Mutwa, the African legends. When I was starting to put this together, I called him the Zulu, great Zulu shaman, coming up to his 90th year now. And I didn't say, hey Credo, I reckon the moon's this, that, and the other. I said, can you just tell me any African legends about the moon? I try to avoid very much telling people what I'm feeling and then saying, what do you think?
Right.
If they have information they could give me, I like to keep my mouth shut, keep my powder dry, as someone said to me once, and then see what they say when they're coming from none of this preamble. And he goes on in this story. He says, well, we think the moon's an egg. Now, of course, anthropologists go along and say, they think the moon's an egg, they're primitive. Well, what are they saying it's an egg? Just it's symbolism, mate, please. I don't think anthropologists do symbolism very well. But they call it an egg because they say the moon had its yolk taken out. It was an egg that had the yolk removed. It was hollowed out. And this is what these scientists were saying in the 70s about it, these Russian scientists. And he said that the legends say that the moon was created far, far away, that it was hollowed out and dragons come into it. It was stolen from the great fire dragon and was rolled across the heavens to the earth. And when it arrived here, it caused great cataclysms, which is what it would do, as we've discussed. And the story is that there were two reptilian creatures, or reptilian entities, better word, I don't like creatures, called Wawani and Umpanku. And they were known as, they were brothers, and they were known as like fish gods. And they had scaly skin like a fish, quote from the legend. Now, immediately he's telling me this, I'm thinking Sumer, I'm thinking Sumerian tablets, I'm thinking the Anunnaki, and the two brothers that were leaders of the Anunnaki, according to the Sumerian tablets, Enlil and Enki. And of course, Enki, for one, was very much associated with water. He had another name which was related to his association with water. And so basically I'm looking at the same story using different names. And the modus operandi, it seems to me, is they move these moons in. When they do so, it wipes the slate of the civilization that's there before. And when everything settles down, they start rebuilding the world, the target world, in their image, as a slave race to them. Now, again, we're talking numbers here. The number of people on Earth is enormous compared with the non-human entities that are manipulating through these human hybrid bloodlines that we talked about before. And therefore, these entities have to keep from the target population the fact that they're what they're doing. It's all, again and again, ancient and modern, I come across this theme. They are terrified of the game being exposed.